This is a build video on the F&F 4-speed K-Series dog box version 2. These are parts, tools, and order of how this goes together. These are the tools that you're going to need to build this transmission correctly. These are the boxes that's going to come in when you get it. This is the order and how everything goes together, and I'll give you a rundown of how it all works. First thing, factory conical washer. And shim. This bearing will come out of your existing transmission. It does not come with a kit. This race bearing and the bearing that's in here will come out of your existing transmission. You'll need that to build this one. We'll set this to the side. This race, this bearing will come out of your existing transmission. This slider right here, some of them will have a shim that will come with it, and some of them will be built with the shim already installed. But just so you know, some of them have that, some of them won't. Here's another bearing and race, and there's a seal inside of here that will come out of your existing transmission as well. We will be installing the factory 5th gear next. Now we have 5th gear pressed on and slides on there. We'll put our spacer on. Shim is the last part, and then our bearing. Let's take a second to focus on the countershaft shim. This shim can either be too thick or too thin, depending on your case and the shim that you've got. But if this is too thick or too thin, you won't be able to lock in this lock groove correctly on the inside of your case. And this whole setup is reliant on this lock groove being locked in the case to get proper clearance between the gears on the countershaft and the input shaft. All right, this is setting up my input shaft thrust. You're going to start with your conical washer and your shim. And the only thing you're going to need to do this is to install your input shaft. Don't install anything else. You won't get a good measurement if you try. And we're going to snap the case together, and then we're going to see if we can't get our 8 to 10 thousandths, which is what F&F is asking us for. I don't have a cameraman right now, so it's just me. When you're setting your input shaft thrust, this shim will sit inside of your case right here. If you don't have the right measurement on your thrust, you can buy these. They can be thicker and thinner. It just depends on what size you need. And you'll need a die caliper to check the actual size of it. And you can take off what thousandths you need off of it and order the correct shim to put in here if you can't get the right clearance. This is our input shaft thrust tool for F&F transmission. They're asking for 8 to 10 thousandths for their dog box. On the synchronized transmission, it's between 4 and 7. So let's zero this thing out. See what we got. We are at 8 thousandths, a little over. So that is what they asked for. That's within spec. Next step is clearance for the reverse shift fork. You can see that it is not going to clear, so that will have to be done before you can finish. It doesn't take much. This is the transmission wrapped up. Shift forks, reverse, everything's all together. It's ready for the outer case. I will say F&F has knocked it out of the park with this. This is the best price dog box K-Series transmission that's out there, and the parts are super well made. If you're going to spend the money on a gear set like this, it is an absolute, you have to have a cut case. You can find one that has some outside damage, but internally it needs to be okay. Cut it out so you can get a good visual of the gear set once you get it in there. And then once you have this mocked up and you have your gear set mocked up, you can assemble it, make sure everything's engaging correctly and everything looks like it's working, and then you can do your final build. But you do need a cut case to do this correctly. This is the reason why you have a cut case. With the lock ring and the case engaged, you can take a look and see that you have proper engagement between all of your gears. So having a cut case is an absolute for this job. And honestly, if you're building transmissions on a regular basis, having a cut case is perfect. This clip right here needs to be snapped in. You can see the groove right here in the bearing. If it's not snapped in, you're not going to get proper alignment on your gears, and you'll tear the transmission up. So, word for the wise, these are the things that you really need to focus on. I mean, obviously everything else, but this is very, very important part. All right, now I have my cut outer case on. I have my shift selector in. You will have to put your check balls in and all 3 bolts. Once you have those in, you can put your shift selector in and everything will line up and work just like it should. Here's a look at the inside of the transmission. And I'll run through a few gears here for you so you can kind of see everything works. And then if you watch, the dog won't line up. So once you get a little bit of space in it, it'll line right up. And if you're still using your clutch or if you're using a strain gauge, that small second that you get from the strain gauge cutting ignition will line these up so you can make those quick shifts. But everything in here works great. I'm putting my outer case on and this thing's going to my race car, and we'll see how much power it can take.